I am Dr. Steve Sinatra, and welcome back to my heart health and weight loss program. Hey, it's week 11, and by now, I hope you lost 10 or 15 pounds. You know, you're walking the dog, you're omitting the white foods, omitting the omega-6 inflammatory oils, using more omega-3, using more olive oil and nuts. You know, the Mediterranean diet I talked about. And I hope you're grounding. Remember, when you ground, you're going to balance your autonomic nervous system. You may even sleep better, especially with a grounding sheet. And if you walk barefoot, that's going to help put out the fires of inflammation, which may facilitate even more weight loss. So this week, I want to talk about navigating restaurants. You know, we all have to eat on the road. I'll tell you, with my schedule, with my lecture schedule, my media schedule, I'm in a lot of restaurants. And I wrote the book, The Fast Food Diet, because I wanted to teach you how to navigate through a minefield if you like to eat fast food. I mean, you can eat some healthy fast food. Let me tell you how to do it. First of all, when you go into a fast food restaurant, I do not want you to order colas. I don't want you to order sodas, unless if you're addicted to them. If you have to have a soda, just ask for a half spritzer water and a half carbonated soda, and this way you're going to get less sugar. All right, but what do you order in a fast food restaurant? Well, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the flame-broiled chickens or the grilled chickens. I know, you know, they have a good connotation, but the amount of salt, hidden processed salt, is alarming. It can be up from 1 to 2 grams, and that in one sitting. I'm not a big fan of the soups either, because they're very salty. Anything deep fried, such as, you know, fried fish, that's out too. And French fries, I got to tell you, I'm very bearish on French fries, not because, you know, they're cooked in fat, but because of the acrylamide issue. Now, acrylamide is sort of a toxin. It's a probable carcinogen, and it's created from high heat, particularly deep-fried French fries and oil, with a starchy food. And, you know, you do that over time, over years, and you could have a problem. Now, for you parents and grandparents, if you got to have a French fry, I want you to only have 1, 2, or 3 and then push it away. And if your children see that or your grandchildren see that, you're going to be teaching them some good stuff, because I don't want our children and grandchildren to be eating French fries. Hopefully you won't even order them at all. Okay, so what do you order in a fast food restaurant? Well, you know, I like chilies. Chilies are good. You know, beans have a lot of fiber. They have a lot of good phytonutrients to them. Certainly, you know, if you want to do chili over a potato with some chives on it, even some sour cream, that's okay with me. And the reason why I say that, even though a potato is very high glycemic, meaning you're going to absorb a lot of sugar, remember, with the meat and the beans and chili, you're going to balance that insulin response. That's the key. In other words, you want to have some fats, proteins, and carbohydrates at each meal, not too much carbohydrates. Because if you have too many carbohydrates, suppose you had, let's say, French fries and a shake, it's pure sugar, and you're going to get an enormous insulin response, and that's going to cause some inflammation of the smaller blood vessels that we have in our body. We call it endothelial cell dysfunction. So basically, what's good in a fast food restaurant other than the chili on a baked potato? Remember, you're going to get some fiber, you're going to get lots of potassium in a baked potato. The chili's going to offset the insulin response, and the calories aren't too bad. What else is good? Well, if you had a hamburger, an old-fashioned hamburger with lots of condiments on it, healthy condiments like onions, lettuce, tomato. You know, there's lycopene in tomato. That's good for you. And onions, especially raw onions, are one of the healthiest foods on the planet. You know, when I used to lecture, there's a Zeppelin elderly study done in the Netherlands, which showed that aging men who took in the most onions in their diet, along with some black tea and green apples, I'm talking about quercetin here, which is a natural phytonutrient that prevents the oxidation of LDL. But the Dutchmen who took in the most onions because they contain the most quercetin lived the longest. And it was amazing. The higher the quercetin content in the bloodstream from eating onions, the longer these old Dutchmen lived. So if you have a hamburger with onions on it and you put even some veg on it, you can put lettuce, tomato, you know, skip the cheese. You know, you don't need it. Just skip it. Skip the mayo. Keep the calories down. And skip the bun. If you have to have a bun, instead of doing 2 buns, just do 1 bun. Because I want you to omit the white flours. Because the white flours, remember, are the is the most important aspect of gaining weight. I mean, my old friend, he wrote the Wheat Belly, Dr. Davis. He's always said, lose the weight, lose the wheat, or lose the wheat, lose the weight. And that is a key in weight loss. So basically, try to omit the buns if you can. There's other good varieties, but I want to keep this simple. Again, baked potato, chili. You can have a salad in the fast food restaurant. The salad dressing's a little heavy in the calories. Ask for a little olive oil instead, and do the hamburgers. Everything else I would shy against. Now, suppose you go to a more upscale restaurant. Some of the fast food restaurants. I have one right here. They list the nutritional information, and this particular restaurant actually listed the trans fats. When you see trans fats on the menu, folks, and if you see like 1 gram, 2 grams, 3 grams per serving, it's out. I'm totally bearish on the trans fats. Remember, trans fats will cause enormous, alarming inflammation in your blood vessels. So avoid any foods with trans fats. But look, if you go to a sort of a little more upscale restaurant, I mean, I'm looking at this menu in front of me, and they have like a field green salad. That's great. And by the way, anything organic or sustainable or local, that's the way you want to go. So, this basically green salad has local Bartlett pears. It had some radish and almonds. It had some, fresh, vegetables with it. It comes with a little sliced asparagus spears. I love it. I would order it. They have deviled eggs as an appetizer. I would even order the deviled eggs. I mean, there's no problem with eggs. I mean, eggs are healthy for you. It has, lots of proteins, and inside the egg we have some nice, magnesium and sulfur and minerals which are in egg yolk. This is something I would order. Local roasted beets. This is great with red onion, feta cheese. Feta cheese is a healthy cheese. It's a good cheese. Feta cheese, as well as a nice hard Parmesan cheese or a Dutch Gouda, has a little bit of vitamin K too, which I really like as an oral chelator and sort of building bones and also taking calcium out of blood vessels where it doesn't belong. Now, some of the basic entrees, nice roasted New Zealand lamb, rack of lamb, nice and healthy. Lamb has carnitine. It's a good, healthy meat. It's not an inflammatory meat. Veal is an inflammatory meat, so I would cut out veal totally. They also have wild Alaskan salmon on the menu. Ooh, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Remember, wild fish, especially if it's a migratory fish, it's going to be lower in mercury. You don't want to eat big fish like sword, tuna, tiled fish, orange ruby, big grouper. You don't want the big fish because these fish are going to have more mercury, but certainly you want, the smaller migratory fish. Certainly sardines are a very, very healthy fish. And local fish, how do you make it? Well, I would order it broiled or baked, never deep fried, again, because of the acrylamide issue, as well as, these oils. If you keep ordering in oils that are heated, the chemical nature changes and it's really harmful. So, get away from deep fried foods. The other thing in these restaurants is give yourself an opportunity to order more vegetables. And remember this, ask about steamed vegetables, because if you're going to have a steak, let's say a natural grass-fed steak or some wild bison if it's on the menu, and I hope it is, that's sort of a dense dish, and you want to mix it up with a lot of fiber. And I love steamed vegetables, whether it's Brussels sprouts or broccoli or even spinach with a little olive oil. Have some green foods. Increase the fiber. Give yourself an opportunity. I want you to think fiber, fiber, fiber when you're in restaurants. And basically just protect yourself and avoid dessert. When I go to a restaurant, I don't get dessert. I don't want dessert. I don't want the sugars, because the sugars are the things that are going to really drive your metabolic machinery in your body into that dark area. So here's 3 things I want you to do this week. First of all, if you order a hamburger in a fast food restaurant, omit that processed cheese. You don't need it. I also want you to order more salads and more green foods, particularly my steamed vegetables, which I mentioned. The other thing is walk more, burn some more calories, increase your activity, step it up. And when you go into week 12, I want you roaring to go, because the weight loss is going to continue to melt off. From my heart to yours, I'm Dr. Steve Sinatra.